I'm Quentin D'Souza, and this is Get Real Wealthy. We're going to be talking about accessory dwelling units. Yes.
Creating wealth, freedom, and security using real estate investing. This is Get Real Wealthy.
Now, you may not have heard of accessory dwelling units in that terminology before, but oftentimes they're referring to basement suites or where you've taken a particular house or a duplex and added another unit to that particular footprint. In Ontario, we have a new bill, Bill 23, that's come into effect, which is really pushing additional units into single-family footprints. This allows for additional basement units or garden suites. It just gives a little bit more density to existing properties. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about basement suites in this episode. What do you look for in basement suites? What are some criteria that you want to think about? First of all, just like the location of any rental property, it's key to be closer to major centers because you'll get higher rents. This will create larger net operating income for the asset and could offer or it could be offset actually by higher purchase prices. So it's something to keep in mind. If you're in the Ontario market, you may consider places like Peterborough, Belleville, or Kingston, where you have a lower purchase price, but similar rents that you might find in the Greater Toronto area, where purchase prices can be much higher. If you are, for example, inheriting an existing tenant on a potential property that you're going to purchase, you need to be careful and know the full details of the existing tenant. Get a tenant acknowledgement letter or a form signed so you ensure that you can legally rent the unit to the person in a way that is acceptable to the landlord-tenant board of the given province or state. Also, you want to ensure the legality of the suite before you do your purchasing. So if you're interested in purchasing a property that has an existing suite and you're not sure if it's legal or not, you can often go to the city or town and find out whether the status of the apartment has been added legally. And why is that important? Well, what could happen if you have an illegal basement apartment is a neighbor could complain and then the unit gets shut down. That means that you can no longer rent the unit out. And that would be a problem for you, especially if you were depending on the rents in order to be able to maintain the property or have a cash flow positive property. So it's something that you really do want to go and investigate some more. Just some of the things that you are interested in when you're looking at a basement suite, for example, is what kind of light are you getting in the bedrooms, in the living room of the unit? Because sometimes if you have a lot of light in a basement, you can often forget that you're in a basement. So having good light, particularly in the bedrooms and the living rooms, are important. Now, depending on the location of the property, if you're in the suburbs, you're going to want to ensure that there is at least one parking spot per unit, as well as public transportation that's close by. If you can have a separate entrance with separate laundry facilities within each unit, it will reduce the amount of tenant interactions, which will minimize management issues, usually that comes from tenant on tenant, we call them collisions, which is really interactions. So if you can minimize that, you can lower some of the management that's required. Now, personally, I like units in the basement that also have a bathroom with a tub in it. So a tub usually allows for different potential tenants and different tenant profiles. So you might have a single woman or a single man in a basement unit, but if you have a tub, you may also have like a single mother with a child or a single father with a child. because then they would have access to the tub. Just gives you a little bit more flexibility, and also it is more desirable to have that. And the other thing you want to think about when you are doing a basement suite is what little extras can you do to make it a little more appealing. Maybe there are pot lights or under cabinet lights, or something to do with the backsplashes or the tiles, or the type of flooring that you use. All of these little things can have a cumulative effect that make the basement unit more desirable. So flooring and lighting definitely make a huge difference in a basement. And if you have a lot of dark and you have not a lot of light coming into the basement when you're talking about flooring, then the whole basement will seem smaller. So, you want to ensure that you have good color combinations with the wall, the flooring, and the amount of light that's coming into the unit, whether it is natural light or artificial light. Finally, and most importantly, you want to make sure that you have a cash flow positive property. If you are buying a property and putting a basement suite in, or if you're buying a property with an existing basement suite, you want to ensure that after all your expenses, that is your mortgage payment, including interest and principal pay down, insurance, all your utility costs, any property tax costs, and any additional property management or maintenance and repairs, as well as vacancy. All of those numbers are put into your spreadsheet, and you should have a positive number at the end of every month. That is a property that's going to continue to pay you to own that property, as well as appreciate in value. All right, I hope you got a few tips. We'll see you on the next episode of Get Real Wealthy.
Make sure to check out getrealwealthy.com.
Until next time, I'm Quentin D'Souza. Get out there and take action.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are provided for information purposes only and should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell any securities or to make or consider an investment course of action. For more information, go to getrealwealthy.com.